Welcome to the Homeownership Podcast presented by Momentum Realty, located in Hanover, Massachusetts. This series covers all things real estate and the best practices for buying, selling, and owning properties. Now here's your host, Sean Maloney.
Welcome to episode 162, When to Use a Suitable Housing Clause in 2022. I'm your host, John Patrick Maloney. Thanks for joining me this week. This week I want to talk to you about what is a suitable housing clause and when should you use it? First, let's break it down. Suitable housing clause says, in order for me to sell you my home, I must first find another home and then close on that other home to sell you my home here. This is very important to remember when selling a house because people's biggest fear is being homeless in between. Now, on a suitable housing clause, that closing date thing, that can become a little technical. We need to talk with the bank. We need to talk with the attorneys to figure out exactly what makes sense for your personal needs, because sometimes in order to buy your next house, you technically have to close on your first house to get the home loan money in order to make your next home purchase be okay. So the suitable housing clause might say that you close on the same day, but you're actually going to close on your house you're selling first because you actually need the proceeds. Just in a long form math equation, the money must be there before the removal of the money for the next purchase. So most people aren't capable of having two house loans, which means that they have to actually technically sell the house they're living in before buying the next one. But they'll do it all in the same day, and they'll usually do it through the same law offices so that it goes smoothly. First transaction goes, second transaction goes. And that way there, again, you're just safe, right? You don't have to worry about, wow, I'm going to find myself out on the street, because ultimately that's a big fear. And I can understand that one, especially when you have a family or you got a bunch of people living with you. Very difficult to just pick up, pack up, go to the hotel. Pets, things like that. Maybe you got fish, maybe you got lizards, snakes, all the different things people collect when they have houses. Where do you put it all and how do you live there and what do you do about it? So today I'm going to talk a little bit about when to use one, especially here in 2022. Good news for you, the sellers out there, is that the market is crazy and it's not slowing down by any means. People are paying whatever people want. They're waiving inspections, they're waiving appraisals, they're dealing with housing contingencies, they're dealing with all different things that they normally wouldn't because they're trying to compete to get to the home, right? They really want to land one. So this for you as a seller means that when you say, I need time to find suitable housing, they're usually willing to say, I'm okay with waiting for that. Realize when it comes to selling the home, everyone's biggest fear is that they're not able to find housing. So this is usually pretty normal in a buyer's head of why you're doing it. But in most markets, because the buyers kind of control from neutral market all the way to buyer's market, the idea of whether your house is going to sell or not, suitable housing clause oftentimes hurts you. Not saying it doesn't hurt you in 2022. Are there people who can't deal with it? Yes, there's buyers out there that need housing immediately and everything. But there's such a plethora of buyers that I'm not as concerned as I would be in all marketplaces of hurting my own self when it comes to trying to sell the home. In 2022, we just have that available option of a lot of people are out there and they're basically desperate. They're looking to get that house, so they're willing to deal with what you have as far as the suitable housing clause, which leads my belief that you'll probably get multiple offers still. I'd say when using the suitable housing clause, it's probably more important than ever to pay attention to the idea of let the market set the price, meaning don't go for the absolute top price right out the gate. Set the price in something that you can picture it selling at and let the multiple offers in the bids push the price up, because if you're going to try to lead the market and have a suitable housing clause, you might get it, but you might get burnt. And typically speaking, in today's market, the way it stands, and this is in March of 2022, you can kind of get whatever you want for whatever you want, but also if you overprice, no one bids it. So if you just set it right, then it goes into bidding war, then you don't know where it's going to end up because the competitive spirit and nature of people get really into it with each other. So a suitable housing clause is the exact inverse of a home sale contingency. A home sale contingency says, in order for me to buy your home, I must sell my home. So this one is actually pretty powerful in a marketplace like right now because you know that it's easy to sell a home. So these suitable housing clauses, as well as home sale contingencies, they're for each side of the transaction. But the truth is, certain ones work in certain markets, other ones work in other markets. But right now, suitable housing clause as a seller, really easy to get and to get treated fairly and to not lose a huge amount of equity or money into the idea that people are taking on risk. Because if you don't find suitable housing by the end of the contract date, it does mean it dissolves. And with the suitable housing clause, it does basically mean that if I don't find it, I'm going to let you go. go, but you also get to take your deposit back with you because it was my issue that I didn't find a place to go. So you, the buyer, are entitled to your deposit back. What are the buyers out? They're out their inspectional costs, they're out their time, they're out their energy and their emotion, but they're not out their deposits. They're going to get those back. Timing is everything. So if you've ever worried about selling your home in a seamless fashion, the time to go is now. Let me explain to you this. There's people out there that say, oh, well, I don't want to sell right now because I'll have to buy at too much money. You're never going to sell for the most money and buy at the least money at the same exact time. It's never going to happen. So you're either going to sell for less and buy for less, or you're going to sell for more and buy for more. It's the strength of the marketplace. But one thing that stands true is as soon as the marketplace turns, your power as a seller starts to weaken, right? So you're not just able to say to someone, hey, listen, I'm not going to sell you my home unless I find a home. You're going to have to say to them, you know what? I'm willing to do whatever it takes. I'll sleep at my mom's house until I figure this out because I need to sell this home. Don't put yourself in that situation. Be smart and realize that right now is the perfect time to sell a home and buy a home. That way there, you don't have to worry about where will your family sleep at night, what will go on, how will this work out, why did I sell my house out from underneath myself? Take the money, sell high, buy high. It's okay. It's a realignment of where you're at in the marketplace. But guess what? Every time you make one of these shifts, if you do it right, use someone like agents over here at Momentum Realty called Move Mentors that help guide you and mentor you in the process of buying, selling, and owning a home and getting the right ones, you can end up in an investment that's also a life investment. It's your home, but it's also your largest asset. And when things all come together and you follow good instructions, you're going to continue to grow that long-term, everlasting wealth, family generational wealth that everyone seeks out. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. I hope this helps you and your family create that long-term generational wealth of home ownership. I appreciate all of you. Make sure to subscribe, and I'll talk to you next week.